Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Joe Ai from the Counseling and Psychology Department. Today we'll talk about data management. Research is a scientific method to generate knowledge through the analysis of data. These sessions will explore the importance of managing the data and how good data management can ensure the research ethics. A generic process model of research includes 6 stages, from identifying a problem to obtaining alternative conclusions. Collecting data is a necessary procedure from scientists to test their hypotheses and answer their research questions. Therefore, managing data is crucial to ensure the academic integrity and protect the rights of human subjects. Data management involves everyday management for research data in a research project. It also involves deciding how data will be preserved and shared after the project completes. Data management includes 3 significant categories: how to collect data, store, and protections. Finally, sharing the data. In this video, we will discuss the good practice of data management to ensure the academic integrity. Data, like the journal articles and books, is a scholarly reported. Data, especially digital data, is fragile and easily lost. Today, there are growing research data requirements imposed by the publisher. For example, submitting the data file while publishing a journal articles. A good data management helps to prevent error and increase the quality and efficiency of your analysis. Good research data management saves time and resources in the long run. The well-managed and accessible dataset allows others to validate your findings. Research data management facilitates the sharing of research data, and when started, sharing data can lead to valuable discovery by others outside the original research teams. To begin, we will discuss the contemporary use of data collections. Nowadays, most of the survey research was conducted online. People would behave entirely different in cyberspace. While conducting an online survey, we should ensure that we have informed consent before the data collections. Unlike face-to-face research, online research often increases the anonymity of the subjects. Therefore, the participant's true identity is worth concerning. The underage and vulnerable subjects to reduce the daily constraint and participate in your online research. Traditionally, we will require the informed consent from their guardians. However, it's often difficult to determine the participant's age and their mental and physical status on an online study. Besides, the data quality. Without the physical existence of an experimenter, the data quality may be influenced. For example, subjects might respond differently online. They might respond to the survey faster and overlook the details of the questions. Last, confidentiality. We should consider whether the researcher is entirely in charge of the data if we conduct the data online. The internet service provided may also have the authority to obtain the participant data, let alone the chance of being attacked by the hacker. Another ethical concern of collecting data is secondary data. A research team led by Tribervie published an article that described the challenge and ethical consideration of using secondary data. I would like to summarize several key ideas from their work. The primary concern is whether the original consent enables the future or secondary use of the data. Would the data accidentally include the identifiable information of the participants? Besides, the ownership of the data, and whether the secondary data analysis results should belong to the researcher or the original owner of the dataset. To avoid the ethical issues, the most straightforward method is to obtain the written permissions of the use of the data from their owner and only obtain an adequate amount of the relevant data. There has been increasing research based on the data on social media in the past decade. Social media research aims to identify the behavioral patterns by analyzing the natural occurrence exchange among online users. Based on the Facebook fact, the identified information will be easily exposed because it records the day-to-day information that may or may not be willing to share by the participants. For the privacy, Further et al. Provide an excellent example on ethical consideration of conducting research through social media. They discuss the risk related to the level of researcher control over the confidentiality of the data, particularly during the data collection and storage process. The BPS suggests that researchers should recognize that it's almost impossible to uphold complete confidentiality of the participants' personal information gathered online because the network are not under the researcher's control. As such, researchers must think about the practice to properly inform participants about how their data is stored and transformed. At the same time, participants should be informed about the possibility of the breaching of confidentiality through the use of search engines and the accumulation data from multiple sources. In data management, we will focus on the data life cycle. Data storage is one of the most critical stages for the data life cycle management. It includes storing the data on a medium with a longer lifespan than the data itself. The medium could be paper, files, tapes, hard drives, CD, and USB, even online storage such as OneDrive and iCloud. A good strategy for data storage could protect the data from the disaster, such as fire, flooding, and physical damage, especially human errors, such as accidentally delete of the data. It can help improve data security against thieves, hacker, or data leakage. Some research design, such as action research, are good strategies of data storage to help improve effective program governance, managing the most updated participants' data, thus increasing the agility to respond to the situations, facilitating the sharing of research results and the meaningful data with other scholars. Storing and sharing data collected and produced in a research context maximize their unity, given the possibility of the long-term data storage and multiple reuse. A storage of data needs to consider the following factors. Confidentiality, with the storing locations, have the potential to violate the confidentiality of the participants, and would their identity will be revealed. Security of the data, with the research data will be stolen, leaked, or unintentionally destroyed. Would the data be shared or used in a way that subjects were unaware of? The concern is that it's whether participants knows how their data will be used. The data retention period. How long should we keep the data? Most institutions suggest that data should be kept for 5 to 7 years. Nonetheless, more research will be completed in 2 or 3 years' time. It is worth concerning who and how the data is stored and handled after the research project is completed. Data disposal. After the data retention period is completed, data should be disposed of. To protect the subject's privacy, rights, and confidentiality, the researchers need to have a safe and reliable method to dispose of their data, and ensure the data would not be used or reused by the third party. Another component of data management is data dissemination. That means sharing your data. Data sharing encourages knowledge exchange among scholars. Researchers could be more effective in replicating and validating each other's findings by the process of data sharing. Inclusion journal and publisher encourage the author to submit their dataset while publishing their findings to avoid data fabrications and facilitate the education communications. Another common scenario is the return of the final result to the participants or institutions. Nevertheless, there are several ethical considerations regarding the data disseminations. Before sharing the data, we should consider several questions. How the data will be shared, when to share the data, to whom and why. Would sharing the data be beneficial to the field of the research? What is the purpose of sharing your research data? Privacy, security, and data protection are crucial. The researcher must ensure that confidentiality is not violated during the data sharing procedure. In some in-depth case study, personal information or identifying information might be revealed in the transcript or recording. So, it might need extra cautions to implement a strict level of privacy protections. Informed consent is essential. The subject must understand that the data might be shared before participating in the research. Therefore, the following procedure to ensure privacy and confidentiality in the data sharing. Before sharing the data, ask for the informed consent for the research participants. Besides, identifying information should be removed from the dataset. The researcher needs to determine which information would pose a risk for breaching the confidentiality. After the data is shared, the researcher needs to control the data's assets, who can access the dataset, and how long the dataset will be shared on the public access domain. When you face the following situations, we would not share the data. First, when sharing data conflicts with a need to protect personal identities. Second, when you do not own the dataset. Third, when the data is sensitive and restricted by law. Fourth, when data sharing poses a security risk. A good practice of data management is to construct a data management plan to describe the data you are going to collect, how you will manage, store, and use those data, and what would you do at the end of the project to handle the data. In some universities, it will require the researcher to submit a data management plan. Before the data collections, you may seek guidance from the university research office.